hardest thing to do in our game is to score goals at even strength.
A consensus that it's just McDavid being McDavid. That's what he does, but he's at a career high.
Yeah, Sheldon Keefe and Jay Woodcroft making a case for their man. And why not? The Hart Trophy debate will rage on. Welcome to Got Your Back, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Nobody puts in wood windows or siding anymore, so we ask, why would you build a wood fence or deck? If you have a project to do it once, do it right with high-quality, maintenance-free vinyl. Call my brothers. That's their company, Rick here in Edmonton or Rob in Calgary at DLR Vinyl Products. Today on the podcast, Jason Strudwick and I will dive into a home ice clinching victory by the Oilers in Pittsburgh. Another well-rounded performance, that courtesy Park Mazda. Then for Bellbank Construction, Dreger, Duthie, and I will take on that Hart Trophy debate. Edmonton fans might not love the results, and we play a few stupid games. And in our De Boer's Golf Shop, Who's Got Your Back segment, ESPN's Leah Hextall, the first female to call games regularly on a national stage. Presented by DLR Vinyl Products, this is Got Your Back. All right, we bring in the man, Jason Strudwick. Struddy, the Oilers with another mature, solid performance. We're going to get to it in the breakdown here in a couple of minutes. I guess in the big picture, though, let's just talk about the fact that they clinch home ice advantage. And for a team that has played so well at home this season, that's a big deal for them, isn't it?
It is, and the energy at the rink is just amazing. I think that Rogers, it has more energy than I remember. Now, part of that might be that there's been some empty stadiums or half empty, whatever you want to call it. But at the games I've been recently, it just feels there's more energy in there. People more than normal. And I'm even going back to when they went to the second round a couple of years ago. So the fans are excited, the city's excited. The possibility of perhaps being a Battle of Alberta at some point. I think that's got people pumped. I know it can't look too far ahead, but there is a lot of positive energy going through this city and this team right now, and people have right to be excited.
What was this time of year like for the players? Because basically everything, for the most part, is settled, and now you're just going through the motions of the last couple of games. It's like, it's got to be. I mean, everyone just wants to stay healthy, and you just want to get through it, but you also kind of want to keep your team playing half decent too, and that's really what the Oilers come home facing here, isn't it?
100%, but it's only 2 games. Listen, there's 2 games left, and the Oilers game, although it's matured a lot, it's still not perfect, and they want to keep ironing out the wrinkles, whether that's the penalty kill, which has been doing better, the penalty or the power play that's been looking pretty dangerous all season, their 5-on-5 play. Maybe individuals want to get back and going, like you want to get Puljujärvi back in the lineup and figure out where he's going to slot in, what he can bring to the group. Connor's still chasing the most points, or not chasing, but has it. He's going to probably win it. But
see how much
he's going to want to stay on top of that. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things still to play. And listen, these next few days are going to fly by for this team, and before I know it, it'll be game 1, whatever day that is, and it's going to be. They're going to want to be ready.
Yeah, no question. All right, so let's get to the breakdown of last night's win over the Pittsburgh Penguins, brought to you by Park Mazda, where the newly redesigned 2022 CX-5 has arrived. Check out the brand new all-wheel drive sport design trim with its turbocharged engine, and see the available colors and trims in stock at parkmazda.ca. Connor McDavid, it's the only place to start. Another 4-point performance against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm going to steal some stats that Jack Michaels used on the broadcast, Reds. I'm just going to rip them right from him because they're great. It's his 17th multi-point game in the last 23. He's got 45 this season. Just dominant performance, but at both ends of the ice, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that's what I like the most is both ends of the ice. We know what he can do offensively, and we know, what he does is, and I think sometimes we actually underappreciate or undervalue what he does bring offensively. But it's both ends of the ice, and we're seeing it more and more. He had a good night against the Penguins. He's had many, many good nights on that side. If he can do that, it sets a tone for the entire team, from him down to Leon, right down through whoever, Devon Shore, whoever would be that 12th forward. So very positive, and what he does, that goal he scored on the power play, short side shelf. you just, I don't know what he wants to say. Like, I guess Carter maybe could have pushed him out a little harder with his stick, but you're not thinking someone's really going to score from there. Right? That's a left-handed shot going down to the right of the goalie, and he wires it short side shelf. I mean, come on.
He's been hunting for that one lately, though, hey? Like, he's been hunting for that one. We've seen a few times him take that shot, and he finally nailed that one.
Yeah, he absolutely nailed it. And, there are other players that can make that shot in the league, but that list isn't that long.
Yeah, no, it was a great performance. A couple second assists, but a goal and a primary assist. Did some good work in the face-off circle as well. Mike Smith, 10th straight start that he has won, 9th consecutive win in a row, 10 goals against in his last 8 starts. It was just another really good performance from Mike Smith. Almost scored a goal. Like, he's rattling off consistent win after consistent win here. And I think it's no longer a question of whether it feels like he can keep this up, because he just keeps on keeping it up.
Yeah, he looks so calm in the net, and I'm not a goalie guru, but I always knew what I liked from my goalies. And I like calmness, because when they're calm, I felt I was more calm. So he's bringing that. There's obviously confidence. He's going for an empty net every chance he gets to score a goal, and I would love to see that for him and for his teammates, the reaction they have. But he's on it, and the way he's playing the puck is so confident. He's made some good saves tonight, but they weren't like crazy, outrageous saves. He was in the right place at the right time. And I feel like watching, I think his D-men are really starting to understand and be able to track where any rebounds may go. Yeah. And so that's helping them, but it's also helping Smith kind of feel confident. Okay, if I punch the puck over here, they're going to get to it first. So, this is a D crew without Darnell Nurse. Guys are stepping up. But it's all functioning together. And I'm not sure it really came first. I think maybe the gameplay, then Smith kind of getting his legs underneath him after a really kind of tough, sluggish start to the year with those injuries. And now it's all kind of coming together. And quite honestly, I mean, they're peaking. They're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, for sure they are. Let's listen in on what some of the players were talking about after the game as we go to our Average Joe's sound box. Average Joe's course on Baseline Road right next to Home Depot. It's always a great place to check out the game. So with the playoff push coming, if you're looking for a spot that has nice big TVs, great service, Average Joe's off Baseline Road in Sherwood Park is a great spot. Zach Hyman, what can you say about Connor McDavid? He was asked, pick a different word that you haven't used yet this year to describe his performance.
I don't know. I mean, quiet 4-point night, a loud 4-point night. I don't know. Like,
playing against Sid too.
Yeah, it's just normal, right? I mean, you make so many plays on the ice that don't result in goals. That when they do go in, obviously you probably could add a couple more points on it. I mean, best player in the world, right? So that's what you expect, and that's what you get. And I'm glad he's with us. I'm glad I'm here.
I'm glad I'm here. Well, I think the Oilers are probably pretty glad he's here. I mean, he is crushing it this season. Like, if I'd have told you that Zach Hyman is where he is at the start of the year, you would have absolutely taken that. He is piling in the goals, and man, the Oilers got a bunch of 20-goal scorers.
Yeah. Well, for a guy who writes books, he really didn't have very many good words to describe Connor McDavid. I mean, I could have come up with that.
Smith post game, right? Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. I wonder if he's a ghostwriter. No, you know what? It is hard to describe. After a while, you run out of words, but let's enjoy it. I mean, I as a teammate, I got the best I played with in his kind of near his prime was Jaromir Jagr, and he scored 54 goals. And I enjoyed watching them play, and I was excited to get on the ice with him when I would touch the ice with him. So when someone gets out there with Connor McDavid, it's special. You know that you have to be ready because you never know what he's going to do, feed you the puck or want the puck or whatever. And so guys that actually get to play with him, whether that's on the power play or 5-on-5, or maybe he stays out a little longer or changes early, whatever. It's a special moment. So he is doing things. And we talked a bit about it after last game. That it felt like a game in Columbus. Someone or some part of the Oilers game had to step up. Well, I thought tonight, I mean, Connor, not that Connor's to blame for the loss in Columbus, but versus the Penguins, he did say, Connor came to play, and he really like above and beyond. I thought the power play was good. The penalty kill, specifically the penalty kill at the end of the second period, was massive. That was a massive penalty kill. It's 2-1. If they score now, it's 2-2. completely different third period. You touched on the faceoffs. Leon and Connor were both pluses or above 50% in the faceoff dot. I didn't look at Nuge, but those two guys, those just little details, right? And you add them all up, and it's what was it, a 5-1 win? So it's I think Ken Holland. I keep going back to his initial press conference saying, there's not one player I'm going to trade for that's going to change this team. And that's the same thing with winning games. It's not one thing. It's not like we got to get this fixed or this fixed. It's just everyone doing everything better and with more detail. And then you get a game like you did tonight. Penguins maybe aren't killing the world right now, but they're a pretty good team with some veteran players. And quite frankly, I thought the third period, the Oilers really kind of took it to the Penguins for large stretches.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, let's think about the bigger picture here right now. So the Oilers, took on a pretty good Pittsburgh team, and they started strong. They were stifling defensively at times. I thought their defensive game was as on point tonight as it has been in I don't know if we've seen a game where they've done it that way, where I just thought they were so efficient in the neutral zone. Like, I look at that 1-0 goal, and it was a nice play on the goal, but if you back up about 45 seconds, the Oilers just strictly through great structure, Pittsburgh had a controlled breakout, and Edmonton just kind of hung back, and it was sort of like I don't know what you'd call it, like maybe a 1-2-2. It wasn't exactly formed, but 2 times in a row, Pittsburgh had a chance to break out clean on them, and they stymied them at the blue line and turned a puck over. Then they get it in the offensive zone, and now they click into aggressive mode. So they were passive, and now they're aggressive. They get some momentum in the offensive zone, and the puck's in the net. So that just goes to show you, when you're playing a well-rounded game focused on details, it's neutral zone, offensive zone, switch mindset, and then it leads to offense. I thought their structure was excellent.
Yeah, you hear the guys talk about a lot before and after the games is they're more connected now. And when you're disjointed, so let's just go to your example. Let's say that one player is way up in the forecheck, and then the other 4 guys are back. Well, now there's a lot of space between the 1 and the 4. And that's where their gaps happen. That's where speed gets going. And now all of a sudden, one of the wingers is like, holy crap, these guys are flying up at me now. He jumps in, and now he gets burned, and then a D-man is all of a sudden standing, still, because he's trying to hold the blue line, but he can't hold it because there's no back pressure, and it's just like an accordion getting squished, right? It's a big problem. So when you see everyone in the picture, and that's a hockey term, where everyone you can see in the picture of whether it's on camera, if you're at the game, you can see everyone kind of within a zone of each other. It just squeezes the other team, and they're doing that, and they're doing it shift after shift after shift. And quite frankly, I thought they did it in Columbus as well. They just didn't kind of get over it, able to kind of have people finish the chances they got, or the power play or whatnot. Against the Penguins, they were able to find those moments and get those goals. The Kane's goal, great goal. Hyman right in front of the net. Just those aren't highlight reel goals, but the goals that need to be scored by 2 guys with big bodies, and those are goals that you can replicate in the playoffs.
Yeah. The D-Corps, we're keeping a close eye on it, because without Darnell Nurse, there's going to have to be a division of labor. And I think we need to shine a bit of a light on Evan Bouchard tonight. It was kind of both ends of the spectrum for him. I thought he played an excellent game, but I think he also learned a couple lessons tonight. He got walked pretty good by Sidney Crosby on the one play, and it's sort of like, whoa. Yeah. When the best players in the world are coming at you and you're going to gobble those minutes, you got to be ready in your own zone. Really, that was the one blip. Other than that, I thought his game was so solid. He basically scored 2 goals, even though he only got credit for 1. I think he was 8 shot attempts. Just a really good, solid night on an important night from a young defenseman.
Well, he's the best shooter on the other blue line. I mean, the guy he hammers it with making it look easy, and he's also the best passer. Now, it doesn't mean he passes the most, but his timing to the passes he gives to Connor McDavid and these guys, just delivering the puck at the right time. And sometimes that's difficult. You want to pass it to those guys so early, but they don't want it right away. They might want to get it when they're finished that swing, or maybe they've gotten past someone, and that delivery of the puck, he is the best passer on the Oilers blue line. And I'm including Tyson Barrie in that conversation. And I was surprised he did a pretty good job on the penalty kill tonight. So he's getting a little bit of time in there. So everything, he continues to impress, and his points are piling up, and that's going to be another challenge when they get to signing this guy to a contract in I guess after next summer, but we can worry about that later. But he is, trending the right direction. Still work to be done on his defensive game, and to me, it's the urgency and sensing trouble, trouble, or what is it? Danger, Will Robinson. Yeah. Danger, Will Robinson. Like, he's kind of got to get to that point, but that comes. Your Spidey, what we call Spidey senses start to tingle, and you've got a problem, or there could be a problem. Kind of like a quarterback in the pocket. You've got that one Mississippi, two Mississippi, and if the ball's not gone, you're in trouble. So that'll keep coming. I would expect maybe Dave Manson to work with him. Obviously, he's been doing now, but as you work through the summer, maybe sending them clips, maybe hooking up. Just for whatever.
It's a work in progress for sure.
Yeah, so it's not finished, but with the puck, he is deadly. And we haven't seen his ceiling yet. And the guy has over 10 goals this year. And what has he got? Is he at 40 points? He's got to be getting close to that.
Evan Bouchard is at 42 points. He's at 12 goals, 30 assists, 42 points. I mean, and he hasn't even played much time on the top unit power play, right? He's averaging 19.45 a night, but hasn't had a ton of power play time. It's been an exceptional season for Evan Bouchard. He's done an excellent job. So the conversation was, how do you make up for Darnell Nurse not being in the lineup? We'll explore the the game summary here. So you look at Duncan Keith, who goes 1938, and he blocks 5 shots. Chris Russell was at 15 minutes and change. And I thought he was okay tonight. I didn't think it was one of his better games. I like the way Kulak, who was at 21:07, I like the way he used his feet in this game. He's a faster skater than most of the other blue liners that the Oilers have. Really, other than Darnell Nurse, he's the next fastest guy. And I think he did a good job against skill players, using his feet to just keep himself in position. So I think, that's an advantage for him, and I think he was solid tonight. So all across CC was good tonight. We talked about Bouchard. Barry had a couple of nice defensive plays. I think across the board, the Oilers blue line, they all sort of picked it up just a little bit for Nurse being gone.
Yeah, they did. And listen, this isn't a team that is, has major holes in it. I mean, they've got 3 good centers. They've got some good wingers, some D-men that can make plays. So I thought it was a good test for the Oilers' defense. And they passed it. I think the guy I want to highlight, though, is Kulak. Kulak was asked to do something he's not normally used to doing, right? He's playing up on the top line, or the top pairing with CC. But his feet get him into a good position a lot, and it kind of keeps him out of trouble. And he's going to have to continue to do that. We don't know where Nurse is at. We're not sure when the series is going to start. Is it going to be Monday? Is it going to be Tuesday? Whatever it is, how much time does Nurse need to recover? And when he comes back, what can he play at? But Kulak's feet right now in that trade are looking very good for the Edmonton Oilers.
So let's just sort of run down Ken Holland's scorecard here, just because, they've just clinched home ice in the playoffs. So trade deadline, Brassard has been fine. Kulak, that's a good addition. CC in the offseason, good addition. Duncan Keith in the offseason, pretty good addition. It's been up and down, and you can certainly question some of the moves or whether or not, he overpaid a little bit here or there. But if you look at the majority of the moves that he made from that last offseason and then through the trade deadline and where we're sitting now, Mike Smith, as it turns out, has worked out. Ken Holland, actually, when you look at the way this team is playing, he structured this thing pretty well and brought in some players who are making a big difference. I think we need to be fair to him.
Yeah, 100%. I think you also have to look at the internal growth. He spoke about internal growth. Yamamoto trending towards, I want to say, is he nearly at 20 goals or getting there?
Yeah, he's at 19.
Pugliarvi, I think he's at 13 or 14, but he's missed some time. But his game is improving. Bouchard, we've already spoken about him, and he's trending in the right direction. McLeod trending in the right direction. Somewhere in the on-deck circle, I'm guessing there's Broberg, there's Holloway, Skinner. Could we see 1, 2, 3 of those guys on the team next year? So I don't want to get looking too far ahead, but there is, he's done some nice moves that help now. There are some moves that are looking like they're going to help in the future. And then, there's Avery Go pick, the first round pick that'll be this year. So yes, I think that he has done a good job. And this team, the Kane pickup obviously has been huge. So let's see what they can do now. And I really get a feeling that I don't think the team really cares what the fans or the media think. I think the team feels they need to win at least one round. They have to win a round, and that's the goal. Is there pressure to do it? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's pressure, but there's a massive desire, and there'll be a disappointment if you don't. Just circling back to Brassard, I see Brassard as a guy that he will impact the playoffs at some point. I don't know what that'll look like. I'm guessing a couple timely goals. He'll find a way just to grease one in there and contribute. And I think that's why you pick that guy. Just like Desharnais, a couple of years ago, Desharnais wasn't really doing anything until he scored that goal. It was absolutely massive, I think, against the Sharks. So that's what he might bring Brassard in for, right? He can do that. Right now, Shore he's never done it before. He doesn't know how to do that. Brassard does. That's why he made that trade.
Final word of the breakdown. We go back to our Average Joe's inbox. Jay Woodcroft on his team's night.
That performance you saw tonight against a really good hockey team was 4 lines contributing, all 6D, a goaltender that was on his game. Special teams were firing. That was a complete 60 for us in a tough building versus a team that had something to play for. And I'm proud of our group tonight.
I don't think this team has gone back-to-back games without getting at least a point since early on in March. Struds, they are firing on a lot of real good cylinders right now. That was the breakdown brought to you by Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road. Visit parkmazda.ca. Great sales staff, great environment, really friendly. I've spent lots of time over there. If you're looking for a vehicle, want to freshen up your days in the car, go see the gang down at Park Mazda. Austin Matthews got to 60 goals, Struddy. McDavid is crushing it with his point totals, 122. Should we have the Hart Trophy debate right now? I don't want to. I don't want to. But, man, 60 goals. He is killing it.
Especially in that market. I mean, that's a tough market to play in, and he's just delivering the most, I believe, a U.S. player's ever scored. And this Hart Trophy race, not to jump into it right now, but it is going to be interesting. And I think there are other horses in that race outside of these two amazing centermen that play in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a bit of a voter fatigue factor with McDavid because he just sort of does it every year, and I think that probably does weigh on the subconscious a little bit. And then there's the Draisaitl factor, which I think is BS. The idea that if two guys are on the same team, how can you pick one? Blah, 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 blah. But 60 goals is special, and it's something that is rarely done. And as Sheldon Keefe said after the game, Struds, the hardest thing to do in this game is to score goals at even strength. And Austin Matthews just has this way of doing that. I'm not sure which way this is going to go, but if Austin Matthews ends up winning the Hart Trophy, I think you probably have a hard time realistically kicking up too huge a fuss over it.
No, and I think this year is really spread out. I mean, you can put those two. I got the goaltender in Nashville, Soros. Yeah, you see, I've got Shesterkin in that move, or in that movie. I think, I do. I think you can also throw in Roman Josi.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of candidates, right? And it's always a complicated thing, and I don't really get too excited about these awards because it can be a bit of a popularity contest, but I don't think it's as clear cut as just McDavid or Matthews. I think there's other guys who've had a massive impact on their team. And if you remove that player from their team, what does it look like? Yeah,
and it's going to be a fun debate. We'll save the more fulsome debate for another day.
Yeah.
Struds, thanks for doing this, buddy. We'll check in, I guess maybe early next week when we throw together a playoff preview podcast or something like that. So thanks for everything, and we'll talk to you in a couple of days, pal.
Can't wait. Talk to you soon, guys.
All right. You are listening to Got Your Back, presented by DLR Vinyl Products. Stay with us. Lots more still ahead. Hey, Struddy, question for you. Have you ever tried putting in your own fence?
I sure have. Between digging the posts, mixing up cement and digging the holes is absolute killer.
It's brutal on the back. Well, listen, what if I told you could put in a fence without having to dig a hole or mix any concrete?
I'd be much more likely to come over and help you out.
Yeah, well, you're not the first guy I would call, but thank you for that. Listen, my brother's company, DLR Vinyl Products, they've come up with a system where you can actually put high-quality vinyl fence in the ground without having to dig a hole, without having to mix any concrete. They can teach do-it-yourselfers how to do it, and they can also work with contractors who might be looking to start installing vinyl. It's super high-quality product. The great thing about it is that it has fantastic longevity. You put it in, you don't have to worry about staining or sanding or anything like that. I've been lucky enough, Struddy. They've put in multiple fences in my different yards and they've built me 3 decks. I have totally abused the fact that my family is in the fencing and decking business, but it's great product. Give Rob a call in Calgary or Rick a call here in Edmonton. This is a company my dad started. It's a family business. I'm super proud of it, and I'm very proud that they are our title sponsors. That's DLR Vinyl Products in Edmonton and Calgary. Hey, it's Ryan Rishaug. While many are feeling the sting of inventory shortages, Park Mazda has you covered. They've got new Mazdas arriving every month, including the redesigned 22CX-5 in whatever color you're looking for. They've also got a huge selection of used vehicles with new arrivals every week and some of the most competitive interest rates on cars, trucks, SUVs, and more. Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park, off Y Road. Schedule a test drive at parkmazda.ca. Time now for R2D2. Ryan Rishaug, Duthie and Dregs, brought to you by Belvan Construction, specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional.
Ryan, I don't think you're on your mic. I think you're on the computer.
Oh,
You're sounding pretty echoey.
oh no, we don't have to leave that in, do we?
Oh, yes,
that
we
now?
do. Yes, we do.
Everybody be quiet. Take 2. Time now for R2D2, Duthie and Dregs, brought to you by Belvan Construction, specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces. Visit belvanconstruction.com. James, good to see you, buddy. We just had a picture of you and your dog last time.
Oh, did you guys? I didn't get a chance to listen. I faithfully listen to the podcast, usually when I work out, but since I don't work out, I've never listened. So I've not listened to your mocking of me. You know, I go on a romantic weekend with my wife in New York City, and I get mocked for it. So I guess that's the way you value.
Did you go to New York and stay in a hotel on points, or did you actually spend a little money?
He didn't spend a dime. Guaranteed. Didn't spend it. Look at his face. He didn't spend a dime.
I spend plenty of money, just not on. I stayed with a friend of mine who is the consul general.
Who did you stay with? Sorry, you broke up. Who'd you stay with?
The consul general to New York or the United States. I don't know. Some
friend
diplomat.
of.
Yeah, he's actually one of my high school buddies who's a complete idiot, but somehow he's the top-ranking Canadian diplomat in New York now. So there you go.
I'm very worried.
Wow. Well, James, maybe we wouldn't chirp you so much on the podcast if when you refer to the podcast, you refer to it by its name. I look back over some episodes. You've referred to this podcast like in 5 different names. Do you know the name of the podcast that you're currently on?
Yeah, this is the R2D2 podcast, right? Got your back. Got your back.
Got your back. Right. You called it Got Her Back. You've called it Got My Back.
On the back. On her back.
Scratch my back. What else?
Get off my back.
Like the Rubber Gloves podcast. Very similar.
I like Got Her Back.
Exactly. The
Got
Rubber
Her Back.
Ducky podcast. Was that the?
Yeah. You see, if you guys are going to make fun of mine, then I'll make fun of yours.
Whose?
Do you listeners even know this childish game that you've played for 20 years?
Yeah.
He did
So
push-ups
on,
when did we do that? Monday? Ryan actually stopped the program to do push-ups.
So you're going to catch me on this? I don't know if I can get my computer down to the ground, but
You didn't say it.
How many I do? 1, 10, 10. What's up? Can you see that?
You got to do 10. But Dregs, we didn't actually get him, but he's still doing push-up. We never actually got him. He's doing the push-ups.
No.
He does not have a concept.
Hey, is everybody happy?
Yeah, we're happy.
A little stupid ass.
Should we tell him? Should we tell him that we did not? James,
What?
should we tell him, Dregs, or should we just move on? Yeah, we'll just move on.
Remember when you got me to do them? You got me to do push-ups in front of the entire crowd at the World Juniors in Saskatoon.
Yeah, in Saskatoon, because our set was right in the stands, like built right into the stands, and people at intermissions would always like line up and watch you guys. And and I nailed them, and he had to do Dregs. It was awesome. He had to do 10. I might have even been 20 in front of about 600 people all gathered around. It was pretty classic.
This is how bad shape I'm in. I think I just pulled a neck muscle doing those 10 push-ups. May not be able to continue.
Okay, let's get to some hockey talk. Austin Matthews' signature performance last night, as my voice cracks. I like the fact, guys, that goal number 60 was just a classic Austin Matthews goal. Mano a mano with a goaltender and just wired one top shelf. The purest goal scorer, arguably, in the game right now. And that gets him to 60. What were your impressions, Dregs, of the way he did that? And I wasn't in the building, but it sounds like the fans sure embraced him.
Yeah, I mean, both goals that he scored, 59 and 60, were kind of vintage, if we can use that word, in association with Austin Matthews' goal scoring, because he hasn't been around that long. But just pure individual skill, right? The first one was a nice finish. The second one was what we've learned to expect, that patented kind of laser-like wrist shot. And look, with both, there was a high level of relief, I think. I go back to Steven Stamkos saying when Matthews was chasing 50, if he gets to 49 and he doesn't score 50, it's going to haunt him. If he gets to 59 and doesn't score 60, it's going to haunt him. So he said all the right things. No, it's not about the individual stuff. He admitted he wanted to score 60, but at least in this case, he did it in his own kind of spectacular fashion.
I thought, he scored his 50th into an empty net. Yeah. And as, a goal's a goal, and you'll look back in 30 years on the numbers and it doesn't really matter. But I just think, for a guy that probably cares and is such a pure goal scorer, whether it was Matthews, McDavid, Stamkos, whoever, you want to do it on a cool goal. And that was just a spectacular shot.
What do we think Judd Moldaver, his agent, was doing at the time he scored both 59 and then 60? I could see him just bouncing off the walls in whatever room he was in.
Yeah,
because I don't think he was there.
He's rather excited.
It's a great accomplishment. Meanwhile, south of the border, Connor McDavid is only putting up his second 4-point performance against the Pittsburgh Penguins. McDavid is just shooting the lights out here. He's up to 122 points. It was his 17th multi-point game in his last 23 games. 17 multi-point games in his last 23. 45 total he has this season. I'm stealing those stats from Jack Michaels, by the way, who said them on the broadcast.
What else did Jack say, Ryan?
What else did he say? Well,
Social media.
He made the point that in his opinion, McDavid is the best. I think he made that point on Twitter. Well, let's get into that a little bit, guys. But first, as we go to
I'm
our
not
average
voting.
Joe's,
Then I'm a voter. I'm not even going to bother. I'm just
or
makes it.
You don't want
easy
to be part of it.
No, I will. But now I don't need. So the challenge is going to be, according to Jack, 2 through 5, because 1 is already locked up. So
Okay.
why we have to go through this process?
So the lobbying begins as the head coaches start lobbying for their guys. As we go to the Average Joe soundbox first, Sheldon Keefe post game.
The hardest thing to do in our game is to score goals at even strength. It's the hardest thing to do in the game, and he does that on a level that it seems like nobody's. I agree. Nobody seems to be able to do it even, anywhere near the same level.
Over to Jay Woodcroft.
A consensus that it's just McDavid being McDavid. That's what he does, but he's at a career high, and he's driving our team, and he's playing the game the right way. He's driven to win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know you guys are thrilled to dig into this, but let's talk about the Hart Trophy. I'll go first because It's my podcast, and if we're going to dive in Edmonton versus Toronto here, I'll lay it on the line first. I think that Austin Matthews should win it based on everything that's happened to this point. I think he probably will. And I think, guys, just on the strength of the sheer goal scoring and point production prowess, for him to score this many goals in the 73 games that he has played is pretty phenomenal. The difference between he and McDavid points per game wise is fairly minimal. This is a pretty special thing that Austin Matthews has done. And if you compare apples to apples, their seasons aren't that far apart points wise, and Matthews has piled in the goals. So what do you guys think? I'm going to get killed for that, by the way, just so you know what's going to happen.
To me, that's the ridiculous part that you'll be killed for. Just the same way it would be ridiculous if somebody in Toronto picked McDavid. You're so right about these are two absolutely spectacular seasons. And the problem with everything about the world we live in, particularly social media, is if you cast a vote for one of these guys, then there's going to be this percentage of people that think, oh, you're an idiot. How can it not be the other guy? The truth is you could make, like I would, first of all, I won't bury the lead. I'll vote for Matthews by a fraction, an absolute fraction, because that's what it is. And the way I looked at it, what is the more rarity? McDavid's had a career year. There's only 3 60 goal scorers in the cap generation, Stamkos and Ovechkin. There's only, I think, 5 guys that have gotten more than 120 points in the cap generation. And so, it's just so close on all levels. I would just give it the slight edge because I think goals are somewhat more valuable. Not always. Sometimes the assist is the better part of the play. But over, you take all the goals in the world, and goals are a little bit more valuable than assists, and 60 is a little bit more rare than 120. And so I would give it to Matthews, but it's so close. Yeah. And I wouldn't, if McDavid won the Hart, I wouldn't throw up my arms and say that's ridiculous. I hate those types reactions. So if you get carved in your town, Ryan, I think that's just silly. McDavid's amazing. Matthews is amazing. Huberdeau and Goudreau have had fantastic years. It's just been a spectacular offensive year, but you have to give it to somebody, and I give it to Matthews by the narrowest of margins.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I haven't officially made my decision. I mean, there's still some days here to lead up to it, but sure. Especially in the second half, right? Because I would say that if you measure the body of the work of Austin Matthews, of course the goals matter. And for many of us, that is the number one layer of criteria. But Austin Matthews plays a complete game. He does. His defensive game is rock solid, leads the league in takeaways. Just the ability to read and strip players of pucks. He hits, he blocks shots. He does all of those things. And it's not that Connor McDavid doesn't do all of those things. Just as we heard the soundbite from Jay Woodcroft, he's played a more complete game. Well, he's played that way really since the coaching change, right? Because he and Draisaitl bought in. There were some system changes, all of that. I feel like Austin Matthews has the edge, but I'm also reminded of the number of times over the course of this season where, for a stretch, undeniably, Connor McDavid was the best hockey player on the planet. And then all of a sudden, Austin Matthews had a torrid run, and we're talking about Austin Matthews being the best player in the game, all of those things. So it's 1 and it's 1A. And as we record the podcast today, I feel like Matthews is 1, but still a bit of time left.
So to put it into perspective, if Austin Matthews had played 79 games this year, 65 goals, 114 points. That's, McDavid's got 44 and 122. So the gap between them points wise is not that deep. Another interesting one that I dug up this morning. I think it's meaningful when players come through in big moments. So when they're trailing, tied, or leading by a goal, 38 goals for Austin Matthews, 15 first assists. So clutch goal, clutch setup. McDavid, 28 goals, 37 first assists. So they're pretty close when it comes to clutch, what I would consider clutch points. Another one, Austin Matthews has 19 more goals when there is a goalie in the net. He scored 56 goals this season with a goalie in the net. McDavid has 37. 7 empty net goals for Connor McDavid. By the way, that stat courtesy of the quiz master, who I was on the phone with earlier on today. So
sorry for you.
Yeah, no, actually, it was a short conversation. We kept
4 a.m., 5 a.m. Eastern time.
Started at 4 a.m. and went for 90 minutes, so it was a shorter one. There's a bit of precedent for this too, guys, and like the last 60 goal scorer did not win the Hart Trophy. It was Stamkos, and that was the year that Evgeny Malkin ended up winning the Hart Trophy with 109 points. But when Ovechkin scored 65, he did win the Hart Trophy. Do you guys think there's a voter bias? There's always this thought that there is.
So I was going to jump on you about this because you started this topic by saying it's Edmonton versus Toronto, which is grossly inaccurate. It's not. I mean, you might be putting on the face of the Edmonton Oilers. I don't know. And then you did the about face and went, no, I'm voting for Austin Matthews if I had a vote. So answer this. Why among media people does it become such an emotional debate? Does it really matter to the people in Toronto or the people in Edmonton if the player that they cover doesn't win the Hart? I don't understand why there's so much.
Well, who's it like? I'm not emotional about it. I don't care either way.
I get it, but
others are. I just think. And look, it's more. I think it's more the fan base, but there are media people. I just don't understand why it is a slight to the other guy if the other guy wins.
Yeah,
it's not a slight. It's not a slight to Matthews if McDavid wins.
No,
not a slight to McDavid if Matthews wins. You're not saying.
It's not Edmonton versus Toronto. It's not.
It's not. But I
agree.
But it will always be perceived as that because look, I'm not a Toronto guy. I was raised in Ottawa and BC, but I learned through, particularly in my time in BC, the hatred that there is for Toronto. And I totally get, the infatuation with the Leafs on national broadcasts and such. And yes, TSN is guilty of that 100% at times.
No, he's not wrong.
No, look, we are. But in this particular case, so there are cases where, let's say, a Leaf player gets hyped more than he deserves because he is a Leaf. Although I think you can say that in almost all of the Canadian markets, but particularly in Toronto. No, I think so. I think all can be because there's just extra spotlight on all Canadian teams, but more so in Toronto and perhaps in Montreal. I would say would be second, maybe to in that.
Imagine if Slavin played in a Canadian market, right? That's kind of your point.
Yeah, like a guy like maybe Kotkaniemi was overhyped in his day because he was in a Canadian market. But there are times it almost goes against the person because the automatic reaction out of the market is to say, well, it's Toronto, so he's going to get hyped. You can't do that with Austin Matthews. It doesn't matter where he is. He's the best goal scorer in the world. And like I said, a very narrow winner this year, in my opinion, over McDavid, which takes nothing away from the incredible season that McDavid had.
I feel bad for Shesterkin. Sorry, stumbled on that name. What an unbelievable season. And I mean, if there were ever a goaltender that had a case to win a Hart Trophy, what he's done this year, I mean, he's probably got to be third on a lot of ballots. I mean, his save percentage is miles ahead of everybody else.
I mean, he's got to be up there. But again, that fully, it contributes to the discussion as to, okay, does the player with the most points automatically get the edge in the Hart? Well, no. And that's not entirely what we're talking about. We've talked at length about Matthews versus Connor McDavid, both richly deserving. The goaltender for me is a little bit sketchy. I mean, most valuable, of course, he's deserving. I mean, the New York Rangers aren't anywhere near the position that they're in now. And I mean, they could literally be the dark horse of the Eastern Conference based on the way they're setting up. Well, they're not that unless Igor Shesterkin stands on his lid. But yeah, you know what? Right. They've got their own trophy. It's called the Vezina.
Yeah,
I think there are times I'm with you, Dregs. Most of the time, to me, the goalie has to have such a special season. And this season, it was impossible because there were about 8 guys that you could make, in other years, because it was such a crazy offensive season around the NHL, you could make worthy Hart debates for Gaudreau and Huberdeau, etc. I think it has to be a year where the goalie is so far above everybody else And there hasn't been a McDavid type year or a Matthews type year for him to win it. Still, the greatest travesty in trophy history was Theodore winning it, I think, over Iginla. Was it that year?
Mm-hmm.
When he won, that was ludicrous in my opinion, because like I said, there is, like Drake said, there's a Vezina, so I think it has to take an extra spectacular, like Hasek. That was a different story. He was the best player in the game in those couple of years span. But I'm with Dregs. The goalie has to be just completely above and beyond everybody else in my mind to win it.
Guys, this was a really mature hockey discussion that we had. We just did like 12 minutes of mature podcasting.
You sound so shocked.
It actually took 32 minutes because of all your technical blunders.
Yeah,
that's true. We had a lot. Okay, quickly before we go, everybody's favorite game show. Too much information, brought to you by insert sponsor here. This went so well the last time. We're going to do it again. The game show where we ask you questions about a specific topic until things start to feel weird. Today, it's the food edition, fellas.
Okay.
Starting with you, James. What is your go-to meal when it is James Duthie's turn to cook?
I don't particularly cook well. I'll cop to that. I'm terrible.
Shocking.
So it would be takeout. Pasta is about the only thing I do. I used to, when the kids were little, I'd make daddy pasta, which was basically just pasta. But the kids loved it because it was called daddy pasta. And then they got to be teenagers and they realized that daddy pasta was just pasta. And now they hate me for everything that I did in their upbringing. So I'm terrible. I'll admit it. I cook pasta. I order things.
Dregs.
That's brutal. Barbecue. And I do 90% of the cooking in my house. And anything on the barbecue. I'll give you an example. Tuesday night. All right. I barbecued turkey breast and mashed potatoes, garlic mashed with a little side of peas and carrots, and a fresh garden salad.
Like
That's
the frozen peas and carrots right out of the bag? The stuff you use on your hamstring when you got a sore hamstring?
They were organic, but yes, they happen to be frozen and in a bag. But you're right. It doesn't matter.
Next question. Late night snacking. Yes or no? And if yes, what is your go-to?
No, for me. No, zero. No late night snacking.
We buy these muffins that are semi-healthy muffins from this crazily expensive organic store that my wife shops at. And sometimes I'll pop a muffin before bed. I like to pop a muffin before bed.
Very good. Very good. Breakfast, guys?
Same muffin.
No. I go big with breakfast on occasion, but see, I enjoy the just everything that goes into making the meal, the process, right? Conversation with my kids when they're here, that sort of thing. So I don't actually myself love the meals. They're good, they're tasty, but I'll make a full-on large breakfast and eat almost none of it.
I wake up absolutely starving every day. I should be 320 pounds by the amount I eat for breakfast. I just keep pounding away from about 7 o'clock till 10 o'clock a.m.
But it's all, and I'm not making fun of you. It's healthy stuff, right? It's fruit, it's almonds, it's maybe oatmeal.
Sometimes
you're not crushing a 6-egg omelet or anything.
No,
like
I'll have I have this like a Greek yogurt cereal, and then a couple of muffins, and then a couple more muffins, and then a couple of muffins.
Yeah, Dregs, have you cut it back to like 6 or 7 cups of coffee a morning, or what's your number right now?
4, but it's actually 2 because we use a Keurig, so I use 1 pod twice per. So 1 full test coffee twice, and then 1 decaf coffee twice.
Oh, very good. James, you got someone at the door there? You got to go?
No, I'm just talking to my daughter. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life. That's a true story.
Come on.
That's weird.
Shut
That's
the front door.
I'm serious. I mean, I've probably had a sip, obviously, at some point in time, and I just thought it was disgusting. And I don't really. I'll try to have tea once in a while, but I don't really enjoy the hot beverage. I like a cold beverage, and
love a hot beverage.
Probably why I look so exhausted all the time, because I've never gotten into coffee.
Mix in some caffeine, buddy. You might actually be able to stay awake for one of these segments. Okay, last one. Your worst food poisoning story, or I ate bad food story.
Oh my God. I'm not going to share the restaurant in downtown Toronto. Oysters. 4 people went for oysters. Holly, myself, Darren Millard, and his wife, Jen. And all 4 of us got sick. But our mistake was we went like the day after New Year's Eve. So January 1st. And I think
so you had bad
we got
guts.
the leftovers.
That was a horrible decision.
Terrible.
Similar to me, we were in Ottawa, and it was I was staying at my parents' condo, my wife and I, and we had just had our first baby, my son Jared, and we had bad shrimp, and we were so out of it. We were so out of it. We had to knock on the neighbor's door and give them the baby. We said, we can no longer care for our child. We are too sick. Please, stranger, take our baby and take care of it. And if we pass along, nurture it and raise it in a good environment.
Did they know who you were?
Yeah, they were friends. So my parents were like, I phoned them. I'm like, Dad, my Cheryl and I are dying. Do you have any friends? Yeah, go next door. Take our child.
And mine was
my son, by the way, has a shrimp allergy. So I've always thought, my wife was breastfeeding at the time. This probably makes makes no medical sense. But is that why he has a shrimp allergy?
Oh man, mine was a bad media room burger in Dallas, and had a flight to San Jose the next morning. And cameraman Dave Parker can attest to this. I almost didn't make it to San Jose. I was comatose on the plane. It was so bad, you guys. I didn't make the game the next night, and I stayed in my room for 36 hours trying to get through it. So I don't know. I think
we got to go, or can I tell a 30-second story? Mark Millett,
no, that's fine. That's fine.
We were flying to Örnsköldsvik, Sweden, to do a story on Örnsköldsvik, where the Sedins are from, and everybody in Forsberg. Mark Millett had bad food, the cameraman, and got really sick on the plane and was dysfunctional by the time we got to Örnsköldsvik. And so Moto was expecting this huge TSN crew to show up and do a story on them, right? And I was, they probably expected 8 people to show up. It's just me and Milletti. He has to teach me how to operate the camera. So I show up at the rink in Örnsköldsvik by myself with the camera and the tripod. I have no idea what I'm doing to shoot the story by myself on this hockey town. And they were, I think, like I said, they thought this big TSN crew was coming to do a documentary. Little Jimmy knocks on the door. Here I am.
Did he send you pictures of his debacle, or did he just?
Okay, let's not even go there. All right, that's gonna wrap it up, folks. This was R2D2, Duthie and Dreger. Lots more to come on the show. Stay with us. You're listening to Got Your Back, presented by DLR Vinyl.
I like Got Her Back better.
Man, I timed that well. That's 3 shows in a row I've wrapped a break just as that song ends.
Oh, your script is right on point then.
See you, buddies.
Thanks, boys. Sorry we were a little longer today.
All good.
We're used to it.
I'll be charging double.
If you're a business owner looking for a general contractor to build or renovate your business, no matter how big or small, Bell Van Construction should be your first call. Specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces, Bell Van can assist you from start to finish. Learn more by going to bellvanconstruction.com.
Folks, golf season is just around the corner, and I don't know about you, but I am some kind of fired up over it. It's the perfect time to get yourself fitted for new clubs or some great new apparel. Well, DeBoers has you covered for all of it. Their facility is first class with amazing TrackMan technology in their simulators and top-of-the-field fitting specialists. You can order now for spring delivery, and they've also got a bunch of new 22 apparel for you to go check out. It's a fantastic group down there at DeBoers. The shop has a great positive feel. I highly recommend you check them out on the corner of 53rd Street and 99th Avenue. DeBoers, helping you play better golf since 1999. Average Joe's Sports Bar in Sherwood Park has proudly served the community and supported minor sports in the area for almost 20 years. It's a great gathering place for sports fans. Average Joe's has massive big screen TVs, comfortable seating, and a friendly staff waiting to make your experience anything but average. Come check it out on Baseline Road, right next to Home Depot, or make a reservation by calling 780-417-1113. That's Average Joe's on Baseline Road in Sherwood Park. Time now for Who's Got Your Back, brought to you by DeBoer's Golf Shop and Fitting Center, helping you play better golf, your local golf shop for the last 23 years. Getting really excited. Golf courses all over the city are opening up, getting ready to get out there and get playing. I've managed to hit a few buckets of balls, haven't gotten around in yet, hoping to be able to before the playoffs start on whatever day they're going to start on. It can be tough to squeeze it in once the playoffs get going. So if I do get around in, certainly going to get over and see the crew at DeBoer's and get outfitted with everything that one needs to get the golf season underway. Okay, really happy to have today's guest. She is blazing a trail over at ESPN this season, and she happens to be from Western Canada. She's a prairie girl. Leah Hextall is the first female to call nationally televised games regularly, and it has been a whirlwind year for her. ESPN gave her this opportunity to try and do something that nobody has ever done before, and it's been an interesting journey. Listen, if you were watching the Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning the other day, you would have heard Leah ask Wayne Simmonds a question. Patrick Maroon had been chirping at him all game long, and Leah was down there between the benches calling him soft. So Leah asked Wayne Simmonds, "Are you soft?" The whole hockey world knows that Wayne Simmonds isn't soft. He's made a career of being a hard-nosed player. Leah Hextall knows that Wayne Simmonds isn't soft. She asked the question, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, being a little bit cheeky about it, hoping to get a response out of Wayne Simmonds, and he answered the question just fine, and they moved on. Now listen, some felt that question didn't work and that it landed kind of flat. Listen, she's trying something a little bit different. I applaud her for doing that. I've done that role before. Asking the same old questions time and time again can get a little bit boring. She tried something. Some felt it was okay. Others felt it fell a little bit flat. That's the way she goes when you're working on a live broadcast. But what happened afterwards on Twitter was ridiculous, quite frankly, as Twitter went ahead and fully twittered. The reaction was stupid. People took this way too far. The abuse that Leah ended up having to take as a result of this, it was silly. The vitriol, the things that were thrown at her, people just being flat out stupid and rude about it. Who talks to people like that? I'm not going to get preachy about Twitter. It is what it is, and any rant from me is not going to fix it. But I did feel it was important to make sure Leah knows that, a lot of people have her back. Sometimes you try things and it works. Sometimes it doesn't, but you put yourself out there and you get back on your horse. Leah was kind enough to join us. She's really busy. She's heading out on the playoff trail. She's going to be calling more games. But rather than have her tell us a story about a time where someone had her back, we decided today we just needed to have hers. So we went right at it. She talked about the question, why she asked it, and her justifications for it. We chatted about it a little bit. She also talked about what this year has been like. It's been an incredible opportunity for her, but it has been brutal at times as well, with some of the abuse that she has had to take trying to blaze this trail. So listen to the words of Leah Hextall and focus on how hard she is trying to be good at this, her understanding of where she is at, and ask yourself, did she deserve 1 ounce of what she got on Twitter? I say the answer is no. Thank you for joining us, Leah Hextall. She is our featured guest in Who's Got Your Back, brought to you by DeBoer's. All right, pleased to be joined by a friendly face, Leah Hextall, ESPN, and our friends over at the other network here in Canada. Leah, where are you right now, and how the heck are you?
I'm fine, Rye. I am sitting in Winnipeg, Manitoba, looking out my window at snow on the ground because we had a rainstorm. So I guess ice, pretty much, is what you could call it, considering it's still winter here. And there's full snow on the ground. Highways were closed, perimeter was closed. So welcome to Winnipeg. But I'm getting set to go to the airport to head out to Pittsburgh for a game tomorrow. So it is what it is.
How much time do you spend in Winnipeg? Like, where are you based day to day? Because you're all over the place every time I see you.
Yeah, I am based in Winnipeg, but I'm probably home maybe 3 days a week. Sometimes, in March, I had 2 big road trips because sometimes it's just easier with the testing and whatnot to keep me in the U.S. So ESPN will have, I'll have 3 games in 3 different states in 10 days. And then I'll come home for 2 days and then they'll send me back out for another week. So in March, I think I was home for 7 days.
Oh, wow.
So it's, but it's a condensed season for everyone. So
yeah.
no complaints.
It's been a crazy year for you. And I want to get to that in a minute. But first, let's deal with this stuff that happened the other day. Twitter is an absolute monster sometimes. I've been in the crosshairs. I think if you do this job for long enough, you're always going to find yourself in the crosshairs. You're doing a game, Tampa Bay and Toronto. You ask a question to Wayne Simmonds saying that, basically Pat Maroon's calling you soft. Wayne, are you soft? And Twitter went absolutely bonkers over it. Maybe just take us through your thought process on the question and your reaction to the reaction.
Yes, that is a great question. So really, I think what happened was a lot of people just saw the clip. And for a lot of hockey traditionalists especially, I think everyone in the hockey world knows that Wayne Simmonds is not soft.
Of course.
And that's why, in my mind, it's okay to have a little bit of fun and ask Wayne Simmonds that question when another not soft guy, Pat Maroon, was calling him soft. What people have to understand is I'm between the benches when I report for ESPN. The first period, if you watch the entire period, the absolute narrative was Pat Maroon first calling the Leafs bench soft, and then Wayne Simmonds, because it's his role to do this, inserts himself into the situation, sees Pat Maroon sitting right next to me, and they start going. And we had the entire exchange, and I was reporting on it saying, Pat is calling him soft. He's saying this. Obviously I couldn't say everything they were saying and muted my mic a couple times to make sure the boys were taken care of. But, at the end of the day, that was the storyline. Yeah. And so when I went into that, I said, get me Simmonds. We knew we had a Toronto player. I wanted Wayne. I'd interviewed Wayne before. That was the storyline for the period. 0-0 game, very even. Asked Wayne a hockey question. How do you swing the momentum in the second period in your direction? Gave me an articulate answer, as he always does. And then I decided I'm going to have a little bit of fun.
Sure.
This was everything that it was about. I wanted to give Wayne also, listen, he earns half of his paycheck in this role. Yeah. In this drama, entertainment. And if people don't understand that that's part of his job to build those type of storylines, he knows his team's watching this. He knows our cameras are watching this. He wants this to be part of the game because it's going to help his team. Yeah. So I gave him the platform and I asked the question directly. Yeah. Did I make a mistake? Yes, I did, because I thought they had fought before. So that's on me. If you want to hit me for that,
sure,
go for it.
Those mistakes are made every day. I've made 1,000 of those. Leah, I once got the score wrong. I was interviewing a guy at halftime at a CFL game. I said, so, down by 11 at the half, what did you say in the locker room? And he looks at me and goes, man, we're only down by 9. I got the math wrong. The simple math I got wrong. And my producer came on in my ear, and he was like, because it was on tape, and he goes, so that was really funny, but it was on tape. What do you want to do? I'm like, just air it. I'll never hear the end of it, but just go ahead and air it. Little mistakes like that happen all the time.
Yeah. But the question, right, I would ask 100 times out of 100 times, because that's me doing my job properly. And I was direct about it. I could have pussyfooted around it and been like, so what was Pat Maroon saying to you? He called you soft. What do you think about that? No. That's, at this point in my career, that's not what I'm doing. Yeah. I picked my spot. I know this person. I knew he would play with it, and I knew he would get it, and he did. And then what happens in the second period? They fight right in front of me. Yeah. So we were thrilled with how the game built.
Well, the storyline played out, right? Your job down between the benches is to find those storylines and to thread them together. I completely understand, Lee. I've been in that role where I've had to ask questions in the moment, in the spur of the moment. You're trying to sometimes follow a storyline, get a reaction. Totally feel you on this one. This is what I want to say. I think as broadcasters, we are responsible for everything we do and say, and that generally speaking, we're absolutely open to feedback and honest criticism on the work that we do day to day by putting ourselves in the public sphere and putting ourselves out there. I think that just comes with the job. Unfortunately, what we saw with this situation and see so many other times is it goes so far beyond friendly critique of your work, or even saying, hey, I don't like the way you did that, and maybe you should adjust next time. It gets so vicious and so ridiculous, and people, especially about hockey, get so sanctimonious with this game And Twitter just takes on a life of its own. And I think it's ridiculous when it happens. I hated seeing it happen to you, but I thought you handled yourself well through it.
Right, here's the thing. There's two things about that. One, I had a former player reach out to me. I'm not going to say their name because I had a lot of players reach out to me, which was very touching. But one of these players said to me, people call it the show, and it seems that they've forgotten that that's what it is. It is a show. It is entertainment. And because in hockey we do this when someone tries to do something fun or different or entertaining, that's why we're so far behind the NBA and the NFL. So to have a former player say that to me really hit, because that's how I look at it too. The game is the star. I was reporting about the game and asking the player about the game. So I'm fine with it. I do it 100 times again. The second part about the Twitter is I think what people have to understand is I had so many people reach out and say, are you okay? Yada, yada. The fact is, I started calling play-by-play as the first woman to do it for a national network in the NHL this year.
Yes, you did.
This is what I have been dealing with all year. I've been told to shoot myself and kill myself. I've been the misogyny that has come out just because it's simply listen, I know I'm not the best play-by-play in the world yet because I'm growing and developing and I'm new, but you have to be an elite broadcaster, just to call play-by-play because it's such a difficult skill set. But I've been taking this all year, so sadly, because it is sad, this actually didn't really hit me. Because in the play-by-play, it hits me because I'm not quite confident enough in my skill set yet. But in my reporting, I'll take that all day long because I've been doing this for 20 years and I know that I did the right job there. Yeah. So for me, this is just what I've been dealing with online, and that's why my notifications went off after my second game of the season. And quite frankly, I don't search my name, and I didn't really see anything that much the other day because it's not worth my mental health. So when people think, why do you block someone who criticizes you? I block people all the time because my first and foremost is taking care of my mental health. And if you're going to be negative beyond constructive criticism, I don't have time for you. I don't need to see that. So that's why I did it. And that's the end of the story.
Yeah, fair enough. And just to provide the context for people, former referee Tim Peel made a couple of comments about the incident that happened. You chose to block him, which he then put on Twitter. I certainly support your right, Leah, to choose who you get to converse with in that situation. So no question, there was a lot coming at you. You know what I love about the way you're handling this and what you're saying there, Leah, is you are humble enough to say, I know I'm not the best play-by-play person in the world. I'm new at this. I'm working my way through it. You get where you're at. And, I think that's so important, Leah, because you're doing a great job. I've been watching you all year. We've known each other for years. When I heard you were getting that opportunity, I thought a couple of things. One, good for you. Good for my friend. I was so happy for you. And two, the game needs this. We need to give this a go. We need to take this step, and we all need to just take a breath and let this happen and let it grow into what it's going to be. If the idea was to blaze a trail like this, nobody was going to step in and be a Hall of Famer on day one. It's going to take patience. It's going to take a tremendous amount of hard work from you, and you're willing to do it. And it's been awesome to watch, and I think the game needs it, Leah. And you're blazing a trail here, and that is not easy. I imagine that can be a little bit lonely at times.
Yeah, and who said that to me before the season was Doc Emmerich. He said trailblazing is a very lonely place, Leah. And I have to say, Ryan, I often feel like I'm on an island. Yeah. But I have received so much support, and at the end of the day, there's no sad song here. I give full credit to ESPN for taking the swing because they've given me weekly calls. They're the first network to say, we're going to let you do this full time. You're going to make your mistakes. We're going to support you on it and let you grow in it. And it's up to me then, as you said, to put in the work, put in 100%, which I have my entire career, and get better. And I've seen myself get better, and I've seen myself get more confident. I still have a ton of work to do, but I'm going to be calling playoff hockey in a week. I can't even believe that. It's hard to even say. So it's been a wonderful year in spite of everything else.
Leah, we're proud of you, and
thanks, sir.
Keep ignoring the haters the way you're ignoring the haters. Keep doing your thing. Keep being hard on yourself like I know you are, and we all need to be hard on ourselves to get ourselves where we want to be. I know you're going to be, and it's so inspiring and fun to watch you grow into this role. Keep on keeping on, Leah. We got your back.
I appreciate that, and I hope that maybe I'll get to Alberta in the playoffs and I'll get to see you around.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, we'll all head out for a few beers and tell some stories. It'll be awesome. Leah, best of luck in the playoffs. I know you got a flight to catch. Thanks for taking some time.
Thank you, Rye.
All right, that is going to wrap up another episode of Got Your Back. Thank you so much for downloading us and checking us out. We appreciate the support to this point. We've been having a lot of fun, and we're just churning these episodes out. And quite frankly, can't wait for playoffs to get going, because we plan on continuing to churn out podcasts and talk hockey and continue to have lots of fun. It's going to be a great time for Oiler fans. I'm not sure how long the ride is going to last, and I don't cheer. Right? I do my job either way. I'm not a guy that cheers for the team that I cover. You just can't do it. But I have worked a long time in this market, and I've watched these fans suffer for a really long time. And with the world finally feeling like it's starting to get back to normal, and fans with this to sink their teeth into, I am really excited for the hockey fans of Edmonton, and I'm going to enjoy watching them enjoy this ride while we continue to just do our jobs. It is going to be fun. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors: DLR Vinyl Products, Park Mazda, Belvan Construction, DeBoer's Golf Shop, and Average Joe's Sports Bar in Sherwood Park. This has been Got Your Back, presented by DLR Vinyl Products. Have a fantastic day, folks, and let's be kind to each other, to our faces and online. Why not? Cheers.